Konnichiwa, hello and welcome. This is Roy at Godzilla and today I will be reviewing a super cool, awesome blast from the past, and that figure being the NECA Godzilla vs. Mothra, or Mothra vs. Godzilla 1964 figure, or aka Mosugoji for short. And yeah, this is a really cool figure that I am glad that I have in my collection, and I have some things to say about it, so let's get started. And now, starting things off with the box, because we got to talk about really cool boxes on this channel when we have them. As you can see, this is the Japanese movie poster for Mothra vs. Godzilla. We have a picture of Mothra in the background with Godzilla firing his heat ray atomic breath at her. And we have the human cast in the movie. And we have the Japanese movie title logo, Mothra vs. Godzilla right there. We have the Toho logo in the top right corner. We have some information about the movie written all in Japanese right there, and some more information about the movie written entirely in Japanese, which I cannot read, and it says Godzilla against Mothra right there, which is the Japanese title logo. We have the Godzilla logo in the bottom left. The side of the box, pretty much the same cover art that's on the front. It says Godzilla against Mothra right there. And we have the 65th anniversary Godzilla logo right there. And, well, yeah, it says Godzilla against Mothra. I don't know, this movie had different titles. It was called, I believe, first it was called, in Japan, it was called Mothra vs. Godzilla, or Mothra against Godzilla. And then on this box it says Godzilla against Mothra. And then the American theatrical release, it was labeled as Godzilla vs. The Thing. And then when it got released on VHS, it was released as Godzilla vs. Mothra. And then when it got put on DVD, it was Mothra vs. Godzilla. Wow. What's with the confusing naming? But anyway, and a lot of people, the Heisei era movie is now. I know a lot of people say, well, the Japanese title is Godzilla vs. Mothra, but the Heisei 1992 movie, I know, and I always call it Godzilla and Mothra, the Battle for Earth. So I always refer to it as that. But yeah, this is the 1964 movie. We're looking at the NECA figure from this side of the box. Pretty much the same thing as on the front, same thing on the other side. So not much to go by here. The top of the box, we have Mothra versus Godzilla again. And we have Godzilla against Mothra right there written in English. We have the NECA logo on the top right. Ages 14 and up, and a warning label, choking hazard, letting you know that this is not edible, it's not food, it's not McDonald's, it's not a Big Mac. So don't try to take a bite out of this and get hungry, because it's not going to go over so well. The inside of the box, we have a cool picture of the figure right there with a nice cool backdrop from the movie. The inside of the box, we see a picture of the big gigantic Mothra egg. One of the main cast members, I remember one of the villain human characters was Kumiyama. He was trying to turn the Mothra's egg into a tourist attraction in the Cosmos, which is the Mothra fairies, the two Mothra twins from Infant Island, the tiny little girls. Yeah, he wouldn't listen to him, so yeah, he pretty much got what's coming to him. But anyway, we have Mothra at the top frame, and we have the two little Mothra larvas right there, all looking very nice. The back of the box is where things get interesting. We have the Japanese and English movie title logos for the movie yet again. We see some cool graphics of the figure in the on the back of the box, showing demonstrating different poses you can put this figure in, looking really cool. And of course, we have the plot for the movie. You can pause it and read it if you want to. I'm going to give you a couple of seconds to do that. Okay, now moving right along to the figure. And now here we have the NECA Godzilla against Mothra, or Mothra versus Godzilla, or Godzilla versus Mothra, whatever movie title logo or movie title name you want to go by for this figure. Godzilla 1964. As you can see, this is a well sculpted, well detailed figure. He is of his typical charcoal gray colorization. His dorsal spines are kind of lighter, sort of grayish, weathered bone white colorization, looking really realistic, looking really nice, really sharp, looking really cool. I really hope Haya Toys does a 1964 Godzilla figure just like this. Although I may or may not start buying SH Monster Arts again. It depends, but anyway, getting right back to this figure. As you can see, this is a three-toed Godzilla. I find this one is as accurate as it can get, and the detail is very good. I will be going over this figure in detail and articulation, starting with the upper body portion of the figure, working my way down to the lower body portion of the figure, and then getting more in depth with the rest of the figure. So let's get started. And now, starting things off with the upper body portion of the figure. As you can see, this one looks really nice and really accurate compared to his appearance in Mothra versus Godzilla, Godzilla versus Mothra, Mothra against Godzilla, Godzilla against Mothra. However you want to go by the title, it's the same movie. Or Godzilla versus the Thing, okay? But not the Thing from the Marvel movies. Okay, not the Thing from the Fantastic Four. Mothra the Thing. Okay, but anyway, we have the nice, cool looking Motsugoji menacing brows there. We have his fearsome looking eyes. The mouth, of course, is articulated, so you can open up the jaw on this figure. You can see all those beautiful, very sharp looking bone white teeth in there. We can see he has a tongue inside his mouth, and you can see all the finer details on the roof of his mouth and on his tongue. Really good jaw articulation. The head and the mouth is well sculpted. Articulation, the head can rotate a full 360 independently from the body. The neck is on a ball joint, which can also move up and down. We can lean it side to side, and we can also rotate the neck a full 360, although it is a bit stiff due to the sculpt, so I don't recommend doing that. The arms are, the shoulders are on ball joints, so we can rotate them a full 360 like so, both sides. We can bring them out about that much and back down about that much. As you can see, they are kind of stiff, but they are doable. We do have a hinge at the elbow. Same is true with the other arm. So we do have a hinge there, and we do have a elbow swivel as well, so we can swivel those elbows all the way around. We also have a swivel hinge at the wrist, so we can swivel those hands all the way around on the wrist, and we do have a hinge at the wrist as well for that claw swiping action, as well as hinged fingers so we can close his hands and open them back up and close them and open them back up. And of course, he does have an ab crunch, although the ab crunch is relatively stiff, and we can rotate him all the way around a full 360 at the waist. And that pretty much concludes it for the upper body portion of the figure. And now moving right along down to the lower body portion of the figure. And now, getting things started with the lower body portion of the figure, the legs and the hips and the knees and the feet are well sculpted. His toe claws are of a dark gray weathered bone white colorization. His hips are on ball joints, but it is very hindered by the sculpt, so really don't force them too much. You can only come out about that much, not very much at all, so you really can't split these legs out too much, although you can rotate them all the way around a full 360, like so. So we do have symmetrical articulation in both hips. We also have a hinge at the knee, so we can bend those knees forward and back. Same is true with the other leg, so we can bend that left knee as well. We also have a swivel in the feet, so we can swivel those ankles all the way around a full 360 as well. So, but we can't really rock them forward and back too much, so we don't have any like ball joint articulation in the feet, but we do have a swivel. The tail is on 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 different ball joint segments, and of course this part of the tail you have to attach out of the box, and you can move the tail different ways if you want to. We can curve the tail about that much that way. We can curve it that much the other way. So we can do that. We can pick the tail up about that much, and we can try and see if it'll work. If we can put him in a swimming pose. I know this is going to be really stiff, but yeah, we can sort of kind of pull it off. But it's not like the best, but it's doable. This is a pretty good figure by far. I mean, it was only a $20 figure back in the day, so don't expect a bunch of bells and whistles out of this. But I mean, it would be nice to see Hiya Toys make their own Godzilla 1964 or the SH Monster Arts version get reissued, which I don't have very much confidence in Premium Bandai right now, especially for the crazy high prices and the declining quality control. Yeah, I don't know if I want to keep paying my money to Premium Bandai, because they really need to do better for the price, or lower their prices. If not, both lower their prices and do better yet. But anyway, that pretty much concludes it for the lower body portion of the figure. And now getting more in depth with the figure and his accessory. And now getting more in depth with the figure and the one accessory he comes with, the sort of this smoky white heat ray breath effect part, which I don't know, I would assume should be blue, because I don't know, for some reason I always thought he had a blue sort of heat beam in the 1964 movie, but obviously I guess it wasn't like colored yet. I don't know, but I might have to go back and rewatch it to see. But I don't know, for some reason I remember the heat ray being blue in that movie, but for some reason NECA made it white. I don't know, I could be wrong. Now, this does plug in just like the heat ray breath effect piece for the 2001 Godzilla do GMK, but I think it goes like the opposite way, like this way. I could be wrong. He does have the yeah. Okay, it goes this way, but yeah, it just doesn't stay in very well at all. I think they should have just made the heat ray breath effect part for this one a little different, because it really just, as you can see, I could put it either way. Try it this way. Yeah, that stayed in a little better, but as you can see, it doesn't really stay in all that well at all. So it's kind of pointless, but it's doable. But these are more compatible with the the NECA GMK Godzillas rather than this one. So yeah, I think they should have just redesigned it entirely for this one. They're going to put them with a heat ray breath effect part, but I mean, this figure is still good for what it is. Still a much appreciated figure in my collection. Let's see if we can get him in the Godzilla versus the Smog Monster pose. Bend those knees back. See if we can do this with a NECA. Yeah, let's see. Let's try this. It sort of works. But yeah, put him in that Godzilla versus Hedorah flying pose. Although this is a show of Godzilla that predates that one, but it still works. And I like this figure, although it's far from perfect, but nonetheless, I mean, I'm definitely giving this one leeway. So, I mean, because it was a budget figure, so I really can't take too many points off on this one for any like mishaps, aside from maybe this popping off very, very easily. But that was like meant to be detachable and to be able to put on easily. So, so I mean, I'm not taking too much points off of this one. So, I mean, with that said, it is now time to get into my final verdict and my final thoughts and opinions on this figure. So let's get started. And now to wrap things up with my final verdict on the NECA Godzilla versus Mothra, or Mothra against Godzilla, or Mothra versus Godzilla, whatever title you want to go by for the movie that this figure is from. Giving this figure a final verdict, if I have to give it a final score based on detail, articulation, and playability. Detail is really good, aesthetically wise. Articulation is fairly decent for the price. A definite improvement over their NECA's Godzilla figure releases that predate this one. Playability, it holds up really well, so I don't have that many pieces popping off of this figure, aside from this part of the tail, which is supposed to be detachable anyway, so I'm not taking points off for that figure for that too much. So if I have to give this one a final score, I have to give it a drummer, please. At least a fair but square, very honest 4.5 stars. Why? Overall, I think the figure itself is solid. The figure itself gets an absolute pass. However, where I'm taking points off is with the accessory it comes with. Yeah, okay. This is it's cool that it comes with an accessory. It's better than a figure coming with nothing. But the problem is the way that this is designed to plug into the mouth and how it's supposed to stay. As you can see, it really doesn't work all that well. And so, in the long run, this is pretty much pointless. Why even give this one a heat ray breath effect port at all if it just can't stay in the mouth. Like, seriously. I'm better off if I want to use like a heat ray breath effect piece. I'm better off like using one of my heat ray breath effect parts that come with my SH Monsters figures and putting that on a Tamashii Nation stand rather than using this. So yeah, that's pretty much my final verdict on this. That's the only thing I'm taking points off because they give you an accessory with this that's practically pointless because it doesn't work that well. But other than that, the figure itself gets a pass. That's the only thing I took points off is because it comes with a pretty much useless accessory. So that's why. But yeah. But anyway, yeah, it's a much appreciated figure. And if you like this review, if you like the channel, if you like what you see, definitely like and subscribe if you haven't already. That really helps out this channel. And as always, stay safe, take care, God bless, and peace out.